Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. Now today's video, I've been wanting to make it for quite some time. It's a bit controversial, but I think we should have this discussion. I'm going to be discussing reasons for not choosing medicine as a profession. Now, there are a lot of opinions online, and just like those opinions, I also have an opinion. So please take everything I say with a pinch of salt. These opinions are completely my own and are subjective to your personal perception of what you believe medicine is. Without further ado, let's talk about one of the most common misconceptions, which I should clear right off the bat. And that is there's a lot of money in medicine. Well, that statement is both true and false. Yes, there is a lot of money involved in medicine. However, the time you get to that monetary benefit, you would have spent a lot of your youth trying to get there. There are a lot of other professions you should choose if you want to make money. Medicine is not the way to go if you're looking to be rich by the age of 30. I'm sorry, but you'd have to spend a lot of your time away from your family, away from any kind of enjoyment to get to that point where you're earning loads and loads of money, or basically you're a consultant. Should you go into medicine just for the sake of that? I don't think so. My second point is going to sound a little bit annoying, but don't go into medicine if you're not a hard worker. Medicine involves a lot of repetition, learning the same thing over and over again, because it's like drinking from a fire hose. That's the amount of knowledge you have to ingest, absorb, and accumulate. So it's not the best profession if you're looking to go for a laid back kind of life where you don't have to study much, you're not a big fan of books, you don't like reading. If you're not a big fan of reading books, working day in and day out to achieve very mediocre grades in med school, then I don't think you should go for medicine. Medicine requires a lot of dedication and effort. Anyone who's a doctor can relate to me right now. If you don't spend the time learning medicine well once, you'll spend the rest of your time learning that topic or that system, because it's just a very punishing subject. If you don't learn it once, you're bound to see it again and you're bound to get it wrong. So it involves constantly being wrong, getting imposter syndrome, constantly checking what you're doing, if you're doing it right. And a lot of the time you will be wrong, and you just have to come to terms with that. 3, you are not a people's person. While there are professions in medicine which don't involve much conversations with patients, such as anesthesia, where you're not talking to patients and you're just involved with the intraoperative management, majority of the time you'll be talking a lot, and you'll be talking non-stop to patients, trying to explain to them what's being offered as their treatment, as their diagnosis, as their investigations, and you're just trying to explain to them what their disease entails. Patients not understanding what you're saying is a big part of the profession, and you have to get into the habit of repeating things twice, thrice, making them understand what their disease is and how they're going to live with it and what's the cure, if there is any. So if you're not a people's person, majority of the time you will have difficulty in communicating with patients, or miss out on important social cues that a patient is having. Sometimes the patient has a body language that is not receptive to information, and you'd have to wait till they are and explain the whole process over again. So I would not recommend going into medicine if you're not a person who likes to talk. The next point is you have an aversion to death or palliative care. Now, what I mean by this is a lot of the times we have patients that are on the brink of death, and all we can do is make their last moments peaceful. It's a very emotionally, mentally taxing profession. If you're not ready for that, if you're not ready to face a lot of deaths, or death is something that scares you, then I would recommend maybe looking into that, because there is a lot of death, a lot of sadness involved in medicine. There are good times, like the smile you get when you cure a patient's disease or they're getting better, but there's a certain sadness entailed with a patient who is not getting better, who is terminal, who will not get better, and you have to break it to their family that they're going to stay like this or they're going to get worse. And you have to make them, in not so many words, come to the reality that their loved one is going to die. So I would definitely think about that aspect of medicine if you are thinking about pursuing it. My next point is competition. If you thought pre-med students were competitive, you were wrong. Medical students who are preparing for their exams and want to become good doctors, consultants, surgeons, they are insanely competitive. Sometimes to the point of being toxic. It's not really a friendly competition when you are aiming for a competitive speciality. And a lot of the times your friends might not actually be your friends and they won't help you out, and you're on your own most of the time in medicine, and you'll have to figure things out by yourself. Of course, you will encounter amazing people who will help you throughout your journey, but most of the people you encounter, they are running their race for themselves and no one is going to run it for you. So you have to get this idea through your head that it is an insanely competitive environment and people are not the most friendly. And this is totally subjective. Your environment could be completely friendly or you could have a great friend group. But most of the times, these medical students, they have been trained from a very young age to be competitive, to get more marks than other individuals. And sometimes this can manifest as negativity or skepticism of others. And the last reason is do not go into medicine just because it's cool or your parents are forcing you to do so. It's not worth it. It's not a profession where you think wearing a white coat for the rest of your life is going to pay back for the mental anguish and the physical struggle you will have to go through when you're in med school. You could choose a profession that's much easier on your mental health, on your physical health. Personally, I had a sick family member at home and I had to go back and forth from my home to my med school on the weekends to take care of my sick family member. And there's nothing I could do. I couldn't explain to the university because it's my journey, it's my struggle, and no one is going to understand it. Similarly, in med school, no one is going to understand that struggle for you, especially if you have a lot of responsibilities at home or you're an only child. Personally, I don't think you should go into medicine if you have no enthusiasm for caring for other people. There should be a certain passion, a certain fire within you that I have to do something for my fellow community, for the sick people I see day to day, for the patients who can't afford good healthcare. That fire, that passion should be within you. If you don't have that, you could develop it within med school. But if you're just going for the sake of a social stigma or because your parents are forcing you to, I wouldn't recommend it, because you'll just burn yourself out, you'll regret your decision, and you'll think, I could have chosen a much easier profession for myself, but I just wanted to make my parents happy, and that's why I chose this profession. But the good news is, if you sat through this video and you've listened to all those reasons in which I told you not to pursue medicine, and you're still thinking about pursuing medicine and thinking, what does he know? I'm still going to be a doctor. Then my friend, be a doctor. Be a medical student. Go through that grind and come out on top. You got this. Until next time, bye-bye.